Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 10th episode of Ferrum Football First and 10. I'm your host, Jordan Mann, and with me, as always, Coach Rob Grande.
How you doing, Jordan?
Doing good, Coach. Congratulations on the big win against the rival Averett.
I appreciate it. It's always good to win.
If I'm just breaking news to you now, Ferrum beat Averett in a little bloodbath on the road, 14-3. It was led by Brian Mann's 31 carries for 118 yards, and he also had 80 yards via kick returns, and he had one rushing touchdown as well. And Taylor led the air attack with 118 yards passing, but also had 80 yards rushing. And Chris Guy led the way receiving for Ferrum with 56 yards. And then on the defensive side, Rod Smith had 3 tackles and a big interception for Ferrum. Now, Coach, the being 14-3 as a final score, it was to get on the scoreboard first. It was Al Matthews should have gave a shout out as well with his safety to make it 2-0.
Yeah, we took possession of the ball near midfield in the first quarter and stalled and had a great punt down inside the 5 by Tyler Morgan with good coverage with Shy Smith and some other guys on the unit. Tackled their punt returner down on the 2-yard line. He's a very explosive return guy that we were aware of, and set it up. And then Alvino did a great job, shooting the A gap on a movement that we had, and hit their back in the end zone to get the first points on the board in the first quarter.
Yeah, and then that was huge, especially, neither team knew what kind of game it was going to be, but knowing how low scoring it was, and that being the score at halftime, 2-0, that was a big 2 points to have on the board.
Yeah, any points are big. And,
yeah.
When you're in a tight game and defensive struggle like that, it certainly was a big part to get things going.
And now to keep it a 2-0 game, Jawan Keith had a big block field goal right before half to deny Averett of leading the 3-2.
Yeah, Jawan's a great kid, freshman out of Florida that's a defensive end and 6'7". A few weeks ago we changed some block opportunities with a little inside we call it Jordan, where he's in the middle. We got a good wedge, trying to create some pressure, and he timed up a great leap and stuffed the ball as time ran out on the half to keep it 2-0. And really that block created 2 more misses. The Averett kicker pushed and sliced 2 more balls in the second half, which I believe was a direct result of him being blocked in the first half. So the impact of that block was greater than just those 3 points.
Yeah, kicking is, it's like shooting free throws. It's all mental for the most part. And when you have a block, especially up the middle, not only it wasn't tipped, it was just full force coming down. that can have an impact mentally on somebody.
Yeah, it was a volleyball spike.
Yeah.
It was a full-blown block.
Now, what was your halftime speech only up 2-0 at halftime?
Not a huge rah-rah. We had a couple players that called some guys out and stepped up with impromptu in the right way. It wasn't a negative deal, but it was good to see some of our internal players, kind of challenging each other, and that was something that I saw when I went up there, and there wasn't any need to do anything but talk to the coaches about what we needed to do to continue the success we had on defense in the first half, and certainly how to finish some drives. We were in the red zone a couple times the first half and just didn't convert on a field goal, and then we went for it on 4th down that we didn't convert either. So we felt good about the offensive game plan, just didn't finish some things off early on.
Well, coming out of halftime, about midway through the third quarter, Deaton hit the 20-yard field goal, up 5-0, and then Mann had the 20-yard touchdown that I alluded to earlier to make it 11-0. And I know the coaches probably weren't thinking this at the time, but being a low-scoring game as it was and how tough points were for Averett, felt like that touchdown right there just kind of was a breaking point, if you will, for their confidence.
Yeah, it was. It certainly extended it to a 2-possession game in the fourth quarter, and it's something that was big right there at the end.
Yeah, and then Deaton capped off the game with a late 28-yard field goal with about 9 seconds left to give Ferrum the official 14-3 win. And shout out to the defense. Looking over the stats, they held Averett to 44 yards rushing on 17 attempts, and they held them to 227 yards passing on 47 attempts, and that's under 5 yards per attempt, and that's under 300 yards total for the game. So
yeah, it was a heck of an effort. The Bowman kid for them is the second leading rusher in our conference, and we felt that was an important aspect to try to closed him down the week before against Wesleyan. He carried the ball, I think, 28 times for over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
So, that was a huge part of the game plan for us to handle.
Yeah, defense wins games, and this one, I was joking with you off camera that LSU and Alabama were tied 0-0 at halftime, and the final score was 10-0 Alabama. So this is a nice little rivalry beatdown as the bloodbath at Averett. So
it wasn't quite the Alabama LSU, but
yeah.
We'll take it for Ferrum Averett, and it's just good to get a win.
It's a good analogy when you put Ferrum and Alabama in the same sentence.
I'll leave that up to you, Jordan.
But Ferrum has now moved to, I don't know if I said this earlier, but they have now their 6th win of the season. That's more than the last 3 years combined, where Ferrum has had 5 total wins. So the transition has been huge so far in the first year under you, Coach. So I just want to give you props for that.
Well, our players are playing hard, and the staff's working hard, and it's a credit to all them and the college. It's a great support here, and alumni and all the people involved. So it's a process of everybody, and certainly we've got one more to go, and we'll tally up all those little things at the end of the season. We're just trying to go 1-0 this week, and that's kind of what we've been telling the players. And week to week, that's kind of what our mentality's been, and we'll look at all those positive things when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and perfect lead into this upcoming weekend is senior night. It's senior day, not senior night, since the 1 o'clock kickoff. But against NC Wesleyan, I know we usually take the show on Wednesdays, but today being Thursday, what is the game plan for you today? I know it's a busy day for you.
No, yeah. Thursdays is kind of putting the hay in the barn, we call it. We're kind of buttoning up all the last minute adjustments, and really it's taking stuff out of the game plan that we just, through the past 2 days, don't feel we're clicking on, and we try to minimize instead of adding things at this point. And they're a good football team. They played a great non-conference schedule with Stevenson out of Baltimore's 8-1. Mount Union, who's obviously the defending national champions, is a great non-conference game. They beat Huntington to start the USA South schedule early October, and they're a great opponent with the USA South Player of the Year from last year, the Adams kid on the perimeter, and Rookie of the Year, the running back. So they've got weapons that we've got to be able to handle, and defensively they're very active. So it'll be a challenge for us on Saturday, and our players understand that.
Yeah, for the viewers back home, Ferrum and NC West have played a combined 12 times. NC West has won 9 out of the 12, and they are coming off a win last year, 42-33 against Ferrum. Ferrum's last win was in 2012, and they won 51-35. And NC West is also coming off a 49-23 win over LaGrange, and where their quarterback Nathan Gardner had 10 of 17 passes for 255 yards and a pair of TDs. And then the running back had 178 yards on the ground and 2 TDs on 27 carries. So, it's nothing that Ferrum can't do, as you eliminated the run game against Averett and the pass, and just another task for everybody to step up, like you said, and everybody has to play as a unit. But come out, senior day, 1 o'clock this Saturday at Ferrum. And until next time, Coach, thank you as always.
No problem, Jordan. Good luck to you and the basketball team as you guys start tipping it off this weekend.
I appreciate it.